What advice would you give to people who feel like their life might be a little out of control?
So I think a lot of us at this point feel like we've lost a little bit of control the last couple of years. So I think this is a very normal thing to feel. I know in the course of my life, I've probably felt like this maybe 2 or 3 times, where I feel like I've lost control of my life. And really what it's come down to is kind of learning some key concepts in life and making some adjustments and making sure I stay very consistent on these adjustments and these life lessons to remain in control at all times as much as possible.
So like obviously for the past, whatever, year and a half, going on 2 years eventually, of being locked up in the house, people are obviously getting a little bit depressed and, kind of feeling a little anxious.
Yeah.
How do you think people can kind of combat that? What can they do with their surroundings?
I think focusing on what you can do, right? Making yourself better while everything seems crumbling around you is really important. For some people that's going to the gym, focusing on their health. That could be, for example, like what I've done, right, is I listen to audiobooks. I've expanded my consciousness as much as possible. I've created new businesses, all from my house, right? Also making sure I'm really consistent with the gym and my diet as well. Sometimes the gym has been hard to be consistent on because, the dictators in Nevada have, will tell you when you can put a mask on, when you can't put a mask on, which makes it difficult to go to the gym, and they've actually shut down businesses multiple times here. But going to the gym as much as possible and focusing on what you can work on is extremely important. For me, that's been diet as well as last year.
So if you feel like your life's a little out of control, obviously outer sources can kind of make that worse, which is kind of like what we're feeling now. But also people inside of your inner circle can do that. Can you talk about the importance of, because you've done this, the importance of cutting people off?
Yeah, so I am now the king of cutting off people. My group of friends has dramatically changed, in 5-year increments, right? As I get better, I surround myself with better people, and you want to continue to build people up around you so they can come with you as well. But learning when to cut people off, right? So again, this is focusing on something that you can control, right? Who you become the 5, everyone's going to hear this at some point in their life. You become the 5 people you surround yourself with, right? So the 5 people that are in my inner circle, I trust with my life. They're very reliable. They make me a better person. I make them a better person. It's a mutual relationship. You can have one person in your little top 5, that you got going on, and they can completely derail you. They can totally fuck you over. They can totally try to ruin your life. And so acknowledging who should be there and who shouldn't be there is really important. And making sure that you're making that decision based on just pure logic, not emotional, right? Just because you love somebody doesn't mean that they should be they should be surrounded by you. Just because they're your family member doesn't mean they should be, up there with everybody else as well.
And do you think everybody should be held at the same standard? So like, let's say you have 5 main people, but one person is throwing everything off, but you have all these other 4 people at a high standard. You're gonna have to cut that one person off.
Yeah, so I've made this mistake, right? I put, for me personally, it's been family members and girlfriends that I put at a higher standard than, maybe some other friends or business associates. And that was something that I was doing that was really stupid. I was making huge mistakes when it came to that. So what I started doing was I started cutting off, bad relationships in general. And I started, having everybody at the same standard. If you're not getting better or you're not at my level or trying to get at my level, then I gotta remove you. And I think that's really important. That's something that I can control, right? I can't control, what's happened the last 2 years. I can't control, all this psychotic, stuff going on in the world, right? And that is what it is. It's psychoticness. It's totally, people being manipulated through propaganda and then division and, the world trying to divide people up as much as possible. I can't do anything about that, right? I can share my opinion. I can help people as much as possible. But that's, the outside world is a little crazier right now. What can I affect inside? Well, I can affect, my group of friends and my family.
And if you're having like a negative experience, just for an example, like if I go to a nail salon
Yeah.
and I'm having a terrible experience every time I go,
Yeah.
we talk about like cutting even that kind of stuff off and getting having a better experience somewhere else.
Yeah, you accept the love you think you deserve, right? You accept the experience that you think you deserve. So if you don't like something, then there's another option out there for you, right? Like, it's not the end of the world if you have to replace a Proctor service. So for example, the last like year or two, I've had people I was really loyal to when it came to services they were providing, like a barber, for example. And if they weren't doing what I wanted them to do anymore, well, I live in a town of 2 million people. There's another barber down the street, and I just find that if I don't like something, then spending my money elsewhere is really important. So if there's a business that you're supporting and you don't like how they're handling things, or you don't like maybe some of their messaging, spending your money elsewhere is really important.
And then what do you think about the people who kind of say poor me? So everything's happening to me and poor me. What do you think about those kind of people, or what can they do to change that kind of mindset?
I say, fuck that. It's not pouring me. It's happening for you. Every single thing that happens to you that's negative is an opportunity to get better. And I know a lot of times it can feel like the world is just crumbling around you, but really it can be happening for you. So we've all heard this idea that one door closes, a couple more doors open, right? It's totally true. Anytime that a relationship ends, it gives you an opportunity to replace that person with somebody better. And then like in hindsight, we see this, right? In hindsight, when a relationship ends, like a girlfriend, for example, we go, oh, how is my life ever gonna, I'm never gonna find someone like that again, right? And then you find somebody a lot better, and you realize, well, if this person had never screwed up, or this relationship had never worked out, then I would have never found myself in a better situation. So every single situation in life is like that. When something bad happens, it now offers you an opportunity to find a better situation for yourself.
And then last thing I wanted to kind of touch on is something that you and I have been doing for like the past year, which is kind of taking out social media completely.
Yeah.
Because you feel like it's a pretty negative space.
Yeah, so yeah, I used to be on like Instagram and Facebook, and I felt like these platforms were super negative, especially the last like 2 years. So I stopped posting on them. I stopped engaging on them. I basically make it impossible to reach out to me. I do these videos to help people out because I don't have to, after I post them, I don't have to interact with anybody after. But a lot of social media is manipulated extremely right now. So I think keeping that in mind as you are on Instagram or you're on Facebook, like these influencers' lives are not real. They are giving you a photo of what their fantasy world looks like. It's not always like that. In fact, people who are boasting about how great their life is most of the time are some of the most unhappy people I've ever met. So I would not compare your life to social media. If you want to improve your situation, get off social media. Definitely stop watching the news. I mean, that one is probably the worst. Your reality is based upon your perception of things. It's your interactions with things, right? So, if I'm only intaking negative content all the time, I'm gonna have a negative outlook on life. Versus if I was only intaking positive content, I'm gonna have a positive outlook on life. And social media, at least right now, is very negative. So I think avoiding social media and negative content as much as possible is really good.
Do you also think that social media though takes you out of the moment? So like, let's say I'm going to dinner and all I'm doing is just worried about how my food looks or how I look in a photo.
Yeah.
It takes you out of those moments. So you're never in the moment.
Yeah, I mean, if you're focusing on the past, well, you're in the past, right? The only moment that matters is the present. The present is the only thing that is happening now. If you're stuck in the future, you can think about the future, you can think about the past every now and then, but you don't want to get trapped there, right? Like, you don't want to get trapped in the future or the past. You want to be stuck in the moment, because the moment is where you can affect things that will affect your future. And people who are like, you'll see people who are completely just, they're ignoring their girlfriends, they're ignoring their boyfriends, they're ignoring their friends and family because they're so focused on taking a photo of their food, or whatever, rather than enjoying their food. You know, like I've been dating you for like 2 years, and we have like no photos together because we're always in the moment, right? We're not like, I'm not sitting here like, you know, oh yeah, look at our food, you know, because I haven't been on social media in so long. So I think that's also increased happiness, and it's allowed me to take control of my life a lot more as well.
So basically, to kind of, if you feel like your life is out of control, kind of take a step back, look who's around you, who's surrounding you, and just find things that are negative and take them out.
Yeah, it's about what advice, you know, like we always have great advice for our friends. Whatever advice you give to your friend, like unemotionally, is the advice you should give to yourself. Mm-hmm. You have to take your emotions out of something, and you have to do what you would tell your best friend to do, right? But do it for yourself. And you gotta stop being a fucking pussy about it, to tell you the truth. You know, we have to stop being emotional about things, and we have to start like removing things. Like obviously, you know, a negative relationship is negative no matter whether it's your relationship or it's your friend's relationship. But if your advice is changing from what you would tell yourself versus what you tell your friend, that's you being emotional, right? So remove all the negativity out of your life, remove the negative influences, the negative people, and only intake positivity. You know, remove the person that's taking up 2 hours of your day with their bullshit and replace it with an audiobook. You know, replace it with healthy food, replace it with going to the gym. You know, stop listening to the negativity. People profit off negativity. The news profits off negativity. You know, making sure you get away from that as much as possible is going to be essential for your happiness, because again, your happiness is based upon your moments throughout your day. It's an accumulation of your moments, and either your moments are positive or your moments are negative, and that ultimately will affect your happiness level and you taking control of your life.